You don't have to believe us when we tell you defense wins championships.
Deontay, please give us the #1 defense in 2022.
#1 defense for me in 2022 is also my pick to win the Super Bowl this year, and it's the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So the Bills are #1 for me as well.
Offense may be leading the way in today's NFL, but you still need a competent defense to win. With that all said, let's dive into our annual rankings of every NFL team's defensive unit, from worst to first. Number 32, Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons were 29th in scoring D a year ago and were last in sacks with 18. Yes, A.J. Terrell is a budding star at cornerback, and Grady Jarrett is still a force on the defensive line. But outside of Terrell, the rest of the secondary is a mess. The linebacker group is filled with question marks, and Jarrett doesn't have any support up front. Number 31, Houston Texans. The Texans hope that number 3 selection Derek Stingley Jr. will serve as a reliable cover man. As for the rest of the cornerback room, it's not great. Jonathan Greenard looks like a future Pro Bowler, and Roy Lopez is an underrated run stopper. Not much else to like here though. Number 30, Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings were 24th in scoring and allowed the 3rd most yards last season. Patrick Peterson's a shell of his former self. Danielle Hunter is too injury prone. The Lewis Cini and Andrew Booth Jr. selections could pay off in the long run, but asking them to turn around this group by themselves in 2022 is unfair. Number 29, Jacksonville Jaguars. Josh Allen is the only true star here. First overall pick Travon Walker could be a major impact player right away, or he could be a non-factor. Free agent signing Darius Williams is an upgrade, but won't move the needle that much. Jacksonville really needs all of these guys to step up and come together if they're going to progress this year. Number 28, Detroit Lions. The Lions were 31st in scoring D and 29th in total D, but they should improve at least a bit in 2022, mainly because of the arrival of number 2 overall pick Aiden Hutchinson and the return of a healthy Jeffrey Okudah at corner. Number 27, New York Jets. The Jets were dead last in both yards and scoring last year, but they should be considerably better in 2022. For starters, rookie corner Ahmad Sauce Gardner will instantly upgrade the pass defense. 2021 signing Carl Lawson is returning after missing all of last year with a torn Achilles. The Jets also snagged Jermaine Johnson II in round 1, giving Robert Saleh another dangerous pass rusher to work with. Number 26, Seattle Seahawks. Seattle's D was quietly decent last year despite suffering their first losing season under Russell Wilson. Quandre Diggs, Jordan Brooks, and newcomer Shelby Harris are solid pieces, but there's a lack of depth across the board. Number 25, New York Giants. The Giants' significant regression on D was a big factor in the firing of Joe Judge. New head coach Brian DeBole has an offensive background, but he made a gem of a hire in Don Wink Martindale. There are lots of pieces to like here. Azeez Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau give Martindale 2 dynamic young pass rushers to build around. And veteran mainstays Blake Martinez and Leonard Williams are still going strong. Number 24, Chicago Bears. The Bears were 22nd in scoring D, but 6th in yards allowed last year. Robert Quinn isn't going to break the franchise record of 18.5 sacks that he set last year. Roquan Smith, Eddie Jackson, and rookies Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon give Matt Eberflus some nice weapons, but there's just too many question marks to count for Chicago's D. Number 23, Las Vegas Raiders. New DC Patrick Graham will do some good things with this group. The Raiders signed future Hall of Famer Chandler Jones to harass opposing QBs alongside young stud Max Crosby. If defensive backs Trayvon Moehrig and Nate Hobbs build off superb rookie years, the sky's the limit for this group. Number 22, Washington Commanders. Washington's defense went from championship caliber in 2022 to suddenly mediocre in 2021. But the talent is obviously there for a rebound. Chase Young, Darren Payne, Jonathan Allen, and Montez Sweat are as good as it gets. Number 21, Arizona Cardinals. Losing Chandler Jones and failing to find a suitable replacement is gonna hurt. J.J. Watt isn't about to turn back the clock, and the cornerback depth chart is quite concerning, to say the least. Budda Baker and Marcus Golden can't be the only consistent producers here. Number 20, Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, they made the Super Bowl a year ago, But it feels like Cincy's D overachieved a bit. The thing is, their D only has to be decent to win. The Bengals would surely welcome immediate impacts from rookie DBs Daxton Hill and Cam Taylor-Britt. Number 19, Carolina Panthers. Did you know Carolina was second in yards allowed and fourth against the pass last season? Never mind the low sack and takeaway totals. They had to deal with a lot of bad field position thanks to Sam Darnold, Cam Newton, and the rest of their inept offense. Baker Mayfield is here to change that. A healthy J.C. Horn will give Carolina a top-level lockdown corner too. Ryan Burns is a budding star. Is this the year Derek Brown and Jeremy Chin fully break out? Number 18, Tennessee Titans. The Titans had one of the NFL's elite defenses last year, but it will be hard to repeat that performance. Kevin Byard is a top-tier safety. Tennessee just needs injury-prone sophomore Caleb Farley and rookie Roger McCreary to morph into capable starters. Number 17, Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are bringing back almost every core player from their 2021 group, but there's no chance they rack up 34 takeaways again, which by the way led the NFL. And Trayvon Diggs isn't going to record 11 interceptions again. Still, Dan Quinn was the ideal man for the job, and you can expect similar success in 2022. Number 16, Los Angeles Chargers. With all-pro corner J.C. Jackson and sack specialist Khalil Mack now in the fold, Bolts fans can expect some much-needed improvement on this side of the ball. Mack and Joey Bosa could very well be the new top pass rushing duo in football. Jackson joins a defense anchored by elite safety Derwin James and young ball hawking sensation Asante Samuel Jr. Number 15, Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins were middle of the pack in most defensive categories last year. Emmanuel Ogbah, Jerome Baker, and Jalen Phillips give Mike McDaniel 3 capable double-digit sack weapons. Call this a good, not great unit. Number 14, New England Patriots. Losing J.C. Jackson, Kyle Van Noy, Dante Hightower, and Chase Winovich definitely hurts. But Bill Belichick is the greatest defensive mastermind ever, so we trust that he'll keep this unit inside of the top half. The Pats will need breakout years from the likes of Christian Barmore and Kyle Duggar. It'll be interesting to see how Belichick fares with his young group. Number 13, Indianapolis Colts. The Colts won't blow you away when it comes to points and yards allowed, but they make up for it with a resilient pass rush and opportunistic secondary that racked up 19 interceptions last year. That number could increase with 2019 Defensive Player of the Year Stephon Gilmore now in the picture. Darius Leonard is arguably the best all-around linebacker in the game, while DeForest Buckner, Yannick Ngakoue, and Kwity Paye give him an awfully good supporting cast in that front seven. Number 12, Los Angeles Rams. Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey are all the Rams need to excel on D. The D shouldn't miss a beat with future Hall of Famer Bobby Wagner now in town. As long as Donald and Ramsey are at the top of their games, the Rams will field a championship-level group. Number 11, San Francisco 49ers. The secondary has its flaws, but the 49ers' elite front seven is all they need to really have a chance. Fred Warner and Nick Bosa are proven superstars. Eric Armstead is rock solid up front. This is a well-rounded unit all around. Number 10, Kansas City Chiefs. Bend don't break is the best way to describe Steve Spagnuolo's D. Losing Tyrann Mathieu hurts, but newcomer Justin Reed is a viable replacement. Rookies Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis will also serve as welcome additions to the D. Number 9, Philadelphia Eagles. Darius Slay was one of the NFL's top corners last year, and now he'll be playing alongside James Bradbury, one of the game's most underrated DBs for a while now. Rookies Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, plus free agent signing Hassan Reddick, add more juice to a front seven that already has Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox. These guys will be a headache for opposing linemen, no doubt. Number 8, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That secondary has consistently struggled against high-octane offenses, but they have arguably the best front seven in the league, with Todd Bowles replacing the offensive-minded Bruce Arians as head coach. Perhaps Tampa's defense will reach another level in 2022. Number 7, Denver Broncos. Don't overlook this D just because they have Russell Wilson now. Denver was 3rd in scoring and 8th in yards allowed last year. A returning Bradley Chubb and the addition of Randy Gregory should help this D remain a top 10 unit. And don't be surprised if Patrick Surtain eventually becomes the NFL's new number 1 corner. Number 6, Baltimore Ravens. Injuries ravaged Baltimore's D a year ago, but not anymore. They'll welcome back perhaps the league's best corner duo in Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey. As for starters, the secondary added Marcus Williams in free agency and Kyle Hamilton in the draft. So good luck throwing the ball against this star-studded secondary. Also, the front seven is bound to improve assuming Odafe Oweh and Patrick Queen take their games to another level. Number 5, Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh's D surprisingly finished dead last against the run a year ago. Even if the unit doesn't improve much there, they still boast an elite secondary and a defensive line that has led the league in sacks over each of the last 3 years. The group starts with TJ Watt, but he also has Cameron Hayward, Nick Fitzpatrick, and Alex Highsmith helping him out. Now, if Devin Bush Jr. could just break out in year 4. Number 4, Cleveland Browns. The Browns quietly fielded the number 5 total defense in a down season. Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney are as good of a pass rushing duo as it gets. And the secondary is vastly underrated with Greg Newsome, Denzel Ward, and Grant Delpit leading the way. If second-year linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah reaches that next gear in 2022, look out NFL. Number 3, Green Bay Packers. The Packers welcome back superstar Jair Alexander, who missed all but 4 games last year. They also used first-round picks on Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt to further bolster the front seven. Simply put, there aren't any holes on this defense anymore. That means Aaron Rodgers shouldn't have to play like an MVP just to give the Packers a chance at a Super Bowl. Number 2, New Orleans Saints. They were no 4 in scoring D last year despite losing a lot of starters to injuries and COVID. And to think they just added one of the game's premier safeties in Tyrann Mathieu. Mathieu, fellow newcomer Marcus May, and veterans Marshawn Lattimore and CJ Gardner-Johnson led a star-studded secondary. Meanwhile, Demario Davis, Cameron Jordan, and 2021 breakout star Marcus Davenport form one of the game's most explosive pass-rushing groups. Number 1, Buffalo Bills. Do we need to explain this one? The Bills were tops in both yards and scoring D last year. They just added future Hall of Famer Von Miller to bolster the pass rush. And lockdown corner Khair Elam was drafted in round 1 to complement Tre'Davious White in the secondary. They have no real flaws whatsoever. Which NFL team do you think has the best defensive unit right now? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, we're on everything. Go subscribe, go follow. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes 1 click down below and subscribe to TPS. We post videos every day. Every day's a new video. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
On my knees.